You ever been standing in a crowded room, smiling like everything's fine, while deep down you know you're the only one completely clueless? Yeah, that was me. 2 hours into Mike's birthday bash, drink in hand, pretending all was well, while my world was falling apart right under my nose. Her name's Mary, my wife for a decade. Blonde hair, sharp mouth, and a grin that could cut glass. She's the kind of woman who doesn't just enter a room, she takes it over. Not just because she's good looking, though she absolutely is, but because she walks like she owns the damn place. We had what looked like the American dream. 2 little girls, a nice place out in the suburbs, white picket fence and all that. I honestly thought I'd won at life. That night, we arrived at the party together. She looked unreal, wearing this red dress that made her look like she stepped straight off a movie screen. I leaned in and kissed her on the cheek before we walked inside. She didn't kiss me back. I caught her whispering with Mason and Stan, my boys since high school, turned into gym junkie adults. I brushed it off, didn't even flinch. I trusted her, like an idiot. Then it happened. Just as we were getting ready to cut the birthday cake, Mary came up beside me. Her perfume hit me like fire in my throat. She leaned in, close enough to feel her breath on my ear, and said, "Don't wait up." I blinked. "Come again?" Before I could say a word, she spun around, heels clacking on the marble like a damn soundtrack, walked straight to Mason and Stan, and draped an arm over each of their necks like she was filming a music video. My so-called friends just looked at me, didn't even flinch. Before walking out, she flipped her hair, turned back, and said it loud enough to make sure every soul in the room heard. "They'll take care of me now. And the girls. They've got 2 new dads to look up to." Silence. Pure, deafening silence. Nobody said a word. Not one damn person. The 3 of them, my wife and 2 best friends, walked out like they just pulled off some kind of sick victory. Like they were proud of it. And I just stood there, watching it all burn. That was the moment everything shattered. I didn't even realize I was squeezing my glass until it exploded in my hand. Didn't feel the shards. Didn't feel the blood running down my wrist. All I felt was stillness. Like my whole body froze, while my heart was roaring like a war drum. They took my car too. She had the keys. I ordered an Uber. Rode home in silence. The house was dark. The girls were asleep. I kissed them both on the forehead, then just sat in the living room, lights off, staring at the wall for hours. And then something inside me snapped. But it wasn't sadness. It wasn't heartbreak either. It was fury. White hot, deep in my bones, kind of fury. You don't pour a decade of your life into building a home, giving up your own dreams, staying loyal, being a good father, a husband, a damn decent man, only to get humiliated like that. Not in public. Not like some joke. She wanted a war. Well, she just declared it. I grabbed my laptop and got to work. Started digging. Phone logs. GPS history. Cloud files she thought I never noticed. That's the funny thing about betrayal. It wakes something up in you. Makes you look at every red flag you ignored before. And what I found that night, it was dynamite. This wasn't a one-time mistake. Not even close. Mason? Not the first. Stan? Not even second. There was Charlie, the real estate guy. Blake, her personal trainer. Connor, from the dealership. And get this, she filmed most of it. I don't know if it was arrogance or she just got off on the risk, but I sat there, watching clip after clip, her smiling, moaning, looking straight into the camera like she was proud of it. I saved every damn file. Organized them. Labeled, dated, evidence. This wasn't about a broken heart anymore. This was a case file. The beginning of something way bigger. My hands stopped trembling. My head got clear. Cold. I made lists. Wrote down every name I could think of. Her friends. Her family. Her boss. I thought about all the places she felt untouchable, and how I'd ripped that comfort from under her feet. Mary thought she buried me that night. She had no idea she just brought something worse to life. The next morning, the house was still dead quiet when I opened my eyes. Sunlight peeked through the blinds. Birds chirped like it was just another peaceful morning in suburbia. But inside me, something had shifted. I wasn't that same man who used to smile at her from across the breakfast table. That version of me died the moment she strutted out with Mason and Stan. She hadn't come back. No text. No call. Just vanished with 2 men I once called brothers. Like the life we built meant nothing. Like our daughters were baggage she could leave behind. I walked into her home office. Opened her laptop. No password. First mistake, Mary. It took me less than 5 minutes to break into her digital world. She had no idea just how easy it'd be for me to follow her digital footprints. I came across a folder tucked away under the name Work Docs. Big mistake number 2. I opened it up, and it was like stepping into a minefield. Videos, photos, text threads that had nothing to do with her job. I picked a file at random and hit play. There she was, wrapped in a towel, sitting on the edge of some hotel bed I didn't recognize, murmuring into her phone. He thinks I'm on a business trip. He's so predictable. I literally stopped breathing. My jaw tightened until it ached. Every part of me locked up. I clicked the next file. Now she was in bed with Mason. Yeah, Mason. Lying beside him, scrolling through the vacation photos from our trip, me, her, the girls. I only married him because he was safe, she said. Didn't even bother to lower her voice. Didn't care. Mason kissed her shoulder and said, "And now you're free." Free. Is that all I was to her? A prison she had to escape? 10 years I gave her. I paid off every cent of her student loans. Nursed her through the flu, the migraines, the surgeries. Left work early just to make it to our daughter's soccer games. Turned down beers with the guys, skipped weekends away, all so we could reconnect. And this was how she paid me back. I couldn't stop digging. Every file I opened was another gut punch. Screenshots from apps I didn't even know existed. Flight confirmations to places I'd never even heard her mention. Uber rides, dozens of them, all from our house, always while I was working late to pay the bills. She even had a burner phone. But the part that nearly shattered me? She had pictures of our daughters, my girls, sent to these men. One message said, "Future stepdads." That almost made me smash the damn screen right there. I slammed the laptop shut and forced myself to breathe. My whole body was shaking like I just walked away from a car crash. I looked around the room, our home, and suddenly everything felt haunted. The couch we curled up on for movie nights. The table where we shared birthdays and burnt pancakes. Every corner whispered her betrayal. I stumbled to the bathroom, splashed cold water on my face, and stared at the guy in the mirror. Bloodshot eyes. Skin pale as death. But behind it all, something was rising. I had 2 paths ahead of me: curl up and fall apart, or rise. I chose to rise. I printed every last piece of filth I found. The texts, the photos, the videos, even the calendar reminders she used to schedule her affairs. I stuffed it all into a red folder and scribbled across the front in thick black ink, "Mary's greatest hits." Then I picked up the phone and called my lawyer. That afternoon, she walked through the front door like she was returning from the grocery store. Sunglasses on. Chewing gum. Fake-ass smile on her lips. "Morning, babe," she said, tossing her purse on the counter. "You make coffee?" I didn't even bother to look at her. Just handed her the red folder. She laughed, flipping it open like it was some joke. But the laugh stopped cold. So did her breathing. Her hands started to shake. Her smile vanished. That's when I finally looked her in the face and said, "You had your fun. Now it's my turn." She opened her mouth, probably gearing up for another lie, but I lifted my hand. "Don't," I said. "Save it, Mary. I already know everything." And for the first time in a long damn while, I saw it. Fear. Real, raw fear. She stood there frozen in the kitchen, clutching that red folder like it was about to blow. Her fingers trembled as she flipped through page after page. Screenshots. Hotel room selfies. Dirty little texts she thought would stay buried. "You went through my stuff?" she finally whispered. That was the first thing out of her mouth. Not, "I'm sorry." Not, "Let me explain." Just outrage that I had seen the truth. I laughed. I couldn't help it. "You've been running a damn circus behind my back, and that's what bothers you? That I opened your files." Her eyes narrowed. She tossed the folder on the table, arms crossed tight. "You're being dramatic, Ron." And there it was. That same arrogant, rolling tone she used when she forgot our anniversary. The same voice she used when she swore she was working late and came home reeking of a stranger's cologne. "You've been screwing half the damn neighborhood," I snapped, "and you think I'm the dramatic one?" For a second, her face cracked. Like she might scream. Cry. Both. But she didn't. Instead, she smirked. "You always wanted some perfect little wife," she said, strutting past me toward the living room. Well, newsflash, I got tired of playing pretend. I followed her, fists clenched so tight the joints popped. "Pretending?" I shot back. "Mary, I gave you everything. I built this life around you. I gave up dreams, worked myself to the bone, stayed loyal when others wouldn't. And you know what? I never once asked you for the same. She poured herself a drink like we were just talking about the weather. Oh, so you think just paying bills and playing house makes you husband of the year? She snapped. I stepped closer, calm but boiling inside. No, I said, my voice low. But maybe not screwing my best friends would have helped. That hit home. She spun around fast, slamming her glass down on the table. You don't get to talk to me like that, she barked. I don't. I shot back, my voice breaking with fury. You humiliated me, Mary, in front of everyone. That party? What the hell was that? She rolled her eyes like I was overreacting. You really think you didn't have it coming? It felt like she smacked me with a brick. What are you even saying? She leaned forward, hissing now. All those years, Ron, you were boring. Predictable. Safe. I felt like I was suffocating in this house. I just stared at her. So instead of talking to me, instead of saying you were unhappy, you decided to blow up our entire life? Her voice turned syrupy sweet, fake as hell. I needed to feel alive again. No, I said, cold as ice. You needed attention. You needed to be adored. You needed someone to drool over you and tell you you're still sexy. She whispered it then, smug and slow. They did. Better than you ever could. I didn't hit her. Didn't scream. Didn't throw anything. But something inside me flipped, like a switch getting shut off for good. You're going to pack a bag, I said, steady now. And you're leaving. Tonight. She let out this bitter little laugh, the kind that makes your skin crawl. Oh, really? You think you can just toss me out? I walked over to the drawer, pulled out the divorce papers, and laid them on the counter in front of her. That smile of hers twitched. I talked to a lawyer this morning, I said. I've got everything saved, videos, texts, all of it. And don't forget, you signed a prenup. Her face lost all its color. You wouldn't. Oh, I would, I said without blinking. And the girls? They're staying with me. Because you, Mary, you're not just a liar, you're dangerous. She stood there shaking, this woman who used to have me wrapped around her finger like a toy. Not anymore. She thought I was still the old Ron the pushover. But that guy was gone. She didn't pack that night. Instead, she slammed the bedroom door and blasted music like some bratty teenager throwing a fit. I crashed on the couch, half asleep, half alert, waiting not for an apology, but for her next dirty move. Around 3 a.m., when the walls finally stopped rattling, I got up, walked to the master bedroom, and quietly locked the door from the outside. She wanted to act like a kid? Fine. Then I'd treat her like one. Next morning, I made breakfast for the girls like I always did. Scrambled eggs, toast, cartoons humming in the background. They giggled when I sprayed whipped cream smiley faces onto their pancakes. But behind my smile, I felt like I was standing in a war zone. How do you explain to two sweet little girls that the same woman who kisses them goodnight also tore their world apart? I kissed their heads, packed up their school bags, moving on autopilot. Mary never came out. She only sent one text. We need to talk. Don't make this worse than it already is. Worse? She hadn't even begun to understand what worse looked like. As soon as I dropped the girls at school, I drove straight to David, my lawyer. He's not the hand-holding type. He's a shark. Cold, focused, and exactly what I needed. I handed him the folder. He raised an eyebrow before the first video even finished. You really want to go scorched earth? He asked, leaning back in his chair. She went nuclear, I said. I'm just answering fire with fire. He let out a low whistle. You'll get the house. Full custody. She'll be lucky if she walks away with more than a suitcase. That's all I want, I told him. Well, not all. I also wanted her to feel it. Not just in court, but everywhere. I wanted her friends to see the real her. I wanted her family, especially her picture-perfect, judgmental mom, to know exactly who they raised. So I got to work. I designed flyers. Anonymous. Straight to the point. Seen this woman? Below the question, a photo of Mary making out with Mason in a parking lot. On the back, a QR code that led straight to a cloud folder. Screenshots. Chat logs. The works. I slipped the flyers into mailboxes around our neighborhood. Taped them up at the gym where Mason trained people. Even slid one under the door of Stan's fiance's beauty salon. Then I sent one final message. An email to Mary's boss. Subject line. Thought you should know what kind of business trip she's taking. Attachment. A .zip file labeled productivity highlights. I hit send. And damn, it felt good. When I got home, the house was dead quiet. She was gone. No note. No goodbye. Her closet was half empty. Her perfume still clung to the air like a ghost that didn't know it was supposed to be gone. I should have felt free. Should have felt some kind of relief. But all I felt was this aching emptiness. Because underneath the anger, under the satisfaction of blowing up her web of lies, there was something deeper. I had loved her. Not the woman she turned into, but the one I thought she used to be. The woman who squeezed my hand in the delivery room when our first daughter came into the world. The woman who danced barefoot across the kitchen floor on lazy Saturday mornings. That woman, she was either long gone or never real in the first place. I walked into what used to be our bedroom, now mine, and sat down on the edge of the bed. Her pillows still smelled like vanilla. And secrets. And I hated that I missed her. Even after all of it. Even now, knowing what I knew. But missing someone doesn't mean you want them back. It just means they meant something. And that's what cut the deepest. The fallout came quicker than I expected. By the weekend, the neighborhood group chat was lit up like a Christmas tree. People who hadn't said more than hi in years were suddenly tagging me in threads. Some offered sympathy. Others pretended to be shocked, though I'd bet money they already knew. Mary had always craved attention. I guess this was her big finale. The neighborhood scandal of the year. Mason and Stan? Gone. Disappeared. Quit the gym. Their driveways were empty overnight, like they'd skipped town in the middle of the night with their tails between their legs. Then I got a text from Stan's fiancée, Abigail. Just one word. Thanks. No emojis. No follow-up. But it told me everything. Word around town said she kicked Stan out the same night I dropped off the flyer. Good. Mary, though? She wasn't done playing the villain. 2 days after leaving, she sent me an email. I want to see the girls. I'm their mother. You can't keep them from me. No apology. No regret. Just entitlement. I didn't answer. I forwarded it straight to David, my lawyer, who was already working on an emergency custody filing. He told me to keep records of everything. Every call. Every message. Every time she showed up where she wasn't supposed to. So I did. I logged it all. Especially the day she crossed a line I'll never forgive. She showed up to Donna's ballet recital with Charlie. Yeah, that Charlie. One of the guys from her greatest hits folder. Front row. Legs crossed. Eyes glued to me like she was daring me to lose it. I didn't. But Donna saw her. After the recital, she tugged on my sleeve. Daddy, why did Mommy bring a new daddy? I swallowed the rage that nearly tore my throat apart. Bent down, kissed her little forehead, and whispered. There's only one daddy, sweetheart. You remember that. I saw the confusion in her eyes. The hurt. And right then, I realized this wasn't just about me anymore. This was a battle for my daughter's hearts. And I wasn't about to lose. Next morning, I got a call from Mary's mom, Harper. The same woman who once told me I'd never be successful enough for her little princess. She was crying. I don't know who she is anymore, she said through sobs. Ron, I'm so sorry. That hit harder than I expected. If Harper was apologizing, then hell had frozen over. But I wasn't looking for apologies. What I wanted was peace. I wanted a home where my girls didn't have to breathe in lies with every breath. I wanted to rebuild, not just the walls around me, but the man inside them. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I signed up for therapy. Yeah, I know, it's not what most people think of when they hear strong man. But I was drowning. In grief. In anger. In all the things I couldn't say out loud. And Mia, my therapist, was the first person who looked at me like I was a human being, not some soap opera headline. She listened. Really listened. And then she said something that knocked the wind out of me. You're not healing from losing her. You're healing from the illusion you built. That landed like a sledgehammer to the chest. She was right. I hadn't been mourning the real Mary. I was mourning the fantasy I'd convinced myself was real all those years. The version of her I'd painted in my head, the good wife, the loving partner. She never existed. Once I understood that, I started letting go one piece at a time. I took down her wedding pictures, boxed up her clothes, donated the gifts she'd given me over the years, even deleted our old Spotify playlist. Because every time that stupid Liam Stewart song came on, it twisted my gut. I was burning the ghosts. The man I used to be, he was gone. And the man I was becoming? He wasn't going to take betrayal lying down. They say time heals everything. But whoever came up with that never had to look their kids in the eyes and explain why mom doesn't come home anymore. It had been a few weeks since Mary walked out. The house was quieter, sure, but not peaceful. Peace is warmth. This was something else. This was silence with a pulse. Like every room still whispered her name. Her perfume still clung to the bedsheets. Her favorite mug sat untouched on the shelf. That old sticky note she used to leave me on the fridge, "Love you, babe," was still there, yellowing under a magnet. I hadn't thrown them out. Not yet. Maybe I needed the reminder. Proof of just how deep the lie went. But I wasn't standing still anymore. Every morning, I got up before the sun, packed the girls' lunches, braided hair with clumsy fingers, made sure they had their shoes tied and jackets zipped. I started showing up early to school events, shaking hands with other parents. I wasn't just Mary's husband anymore. Wasn't just the guy who got publicly betrayed. I was dad, and I was showing up. Some days were okay. Others felt like dragging myself through glass barefoot. But then came this moment I'll never forget. It was a Thursday afternoon. I picked up Teresa, our youngest, from preschool. She hopped into the back seat, yanked off her little backpack, and said, "Daddy, today we drew heroes." I drew you. I almost broke right there. She held up this crumpled sheet of paper, a stick figure version of me, smiling wide with a red cape flying behind him. I didn't even start the car right away. Sat there, eyes blurry, holding back a flood. Not because the drawing was perfect, but because my little girl still saw me as her hero, even after the world fell apart. And that's when it hit me. Mary didn't just cheat on me. She tried to rewrite our whole story, make me a footnote in my own life. But I wasn't a background character. She was just the wrong lead in mine. The next big shift came when I changed the locks. 2 days later, she showed up, banging on the front door like she still had a right to be there. Thank God the girls were with my sister, because what happened next would have scarred them. I opened the door and stood there, calm. She looked rough, dark shades over tired eyes, dry lips, hair a mess. "You locked me out," she snapped. "You had the key," I said. "But you burned the house down first. You don't get to waltz back in like nothing happened." "I want to see the girls," she barked. "You will," I told her. "But not here. And not on your terms." That's when the tears started. Not the real kind. The kind she could summon like a faucet. On demand. "Ron, please. I made mistakes." "Mistakes," I said, voice sharp, "are forgetting a birthday. Not sleeping with my best friends and flaunting it in front of our kids." She tried to shove her way past me. I stood my ground. "Try it," I warned, "and I'll call the cops. Everything's documented. You really want to drag this circus into court?" That stopped her cold. She took a shaky step back and pulled off her sunglasses. For the first time, she didn't look angry or proud. She looked small, cracked, like the pedestal I once put her on had finally crumbled beneath her. "I didn't think you'd ever stop loving me," she whispered. I looked her dead in the eye. "I didn't," I said. "You just made it impossible to keep going." She didn't say another word, just turned and walked to a car I didn't recognize. Probably another guy waiting in the driver's seat. I watched her go, and for the first time, I felt something close to closure. It didn't come with yelling. No explosions. Just silence. I didn't slam the door. I just shut it gently. Because from that point forward, she wasn't part of this house anymore. The silence that followed was different. Not lonely. Clean. Like the air had finally cleared after a years-long storm. I could breathe again. Really breathe. The weight of her, the lies, the gaslighting, the games was slowly lifting. And that's when I realized. Freedom doesn't arrive like a celebration. It comes in fragments. Quiet mornings. No more slammed doors. No more fake tears. Just stillness. Honest, healing stillness. Funny thing? The girls adjusted faster than I did. Teresa started sleeping through the night again. Donna stopped asking when mommy was coming home. Kids are smarter than we give them credit for. They don't need words. They feel it. They know who's safe and who isn't. One night, I was brushing Donna's hair, and she looked at me through the mirror. "Is mommy gone forever?" she asked. I paused. "She's not living here anymore, sweetheart. But she still loves us, right?" I gave her a soft smile. "In her own way, yeah. But some people, they don't know how to love without hurting others." She didn't say anything after that. Just gave a little nod and leaned her head into my chest. That's when I knew. It was time. The divorce papers had been ready for weeks. I'd been staring at them, putting it off, not out of hope, but routine. Ending a marriage, even a toxic one, feels like chopping off a part of yourself. You tell yourself maybe it'll heal. Maybe it'll get better. But some things don't heal. They rot. I opened the manila envelope and stared at the heading. Ronald Moore versus Mary Moore. It looked cold. Clinical. 2 names on paper. No trace of 10 years, 2 kids, or 1,000 memories. I picked up the pen. Hesitated. Not because I still loved her, but because this was it. The last page of a book I never thought would end this way. And then I remembered that party. I can still see it. Her walking out of that party with Mason and Stan, that smug look on her face, and those words that cut like knives. They'll take care of me now. And our daughters? They'll have 2 new fathers to look up to. Those words didn't slip out. They were meant to hit. She threw them like daggers, aiming for humiliation. And she hit her mark. But she missed one thing. I get to decide how this story ends. So I signed the papers. Just like that, it was done. The marriage was over. Legally, at least. Emotionally, that bond had died long before that night. I dropped the envelope at David's office and stepped back into the sun. It was an ordinary day, blue sky, soft breeze, but everything looked sharper, more alive. I wasn't broken anymore. I wasn't the guy standing in the wreckage wondering what the hell happened. I was someone who had walked through hell and come out the other side scarred, sure, but intact. From there, I started looking ahead. For my girls. For myself. I enrolled in a weekend carpentry class. Something about building instead of breaking, it settled my nerves, gave me purpose. I got back in the gym. Not for revenge. Not to post pictures or prove anything. Just because it made me feel like me again. I reached out to old friends. The real ones. The ones who didn't sleep with my wife or gossip behind my back. We laughed again. We had beers and talked about life, not betrayal. Little by little, things started to grow back. It wasn't perfect. There were still nights I woke up in a cold sweat, thinking I heard her in the hallway. Mornings where I stared at that stupid coffee mug and felt that hollow ache settle in again. But the pain? It wasn't screaming anymore. It had become background noise. Manageable. Quiet. The worst was behind me. What lay ahead? That was mine to shape. Funny thing about betrayal, once it stops burning, you realize it's not really about them anymore. It's about you. Who you become because of it. I used to replay that party moment like some horror film I couldn't stop watching. Her walking out with those 2 traitors, smiling like she just won a prize. And those damn words echoing over the crowd. They'll take care of me now. And our daughters will have 2 new fathers. Used to crush me. Now? It just sounds pathetic. Like a desperate attempt to turn failure into theater. A sad performance. Not truth. And when you see it for what it is, you stop bleeding from it. Pain gives you a choice. It either guts you hollow, or it digs out space for something stronger. I chose strength. Now, when I wake up, the silence in the house doesn't feel empty. It feels clean, pure. The walls no longer echo with betrayal. They hold laughter. 2 little girls, who believe their dad can do anything. That's my real legacy. People ask me sometimes, coworkers, a few close friends, how you holding up, man? I give them the short version. It was hell, but I made it.